Welcome to Truth and Company Boxing Podcast for another segment of 20 Random Questions. I'm your host, John the Truth Dioria, and tonight's guest is former professional boxer Xavier Toliver. How you doing, Xavier?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm wonderful, man. So I guess the first question is, you've been retired now for about 11 years. So I want to know, and the fans want to know, are you still involved in the sport of boxing?
Yes, I am still involved in the sport of boxing. I am a matchmaker, so I make fights. I was actually involved in matchmaking at the tail end of my career, on my off time, even in the middle of my career. But once I retired, I kind of started full fledged, and I've probably worked with, so many, the all the promoters across the world, Germany, all of Europe, Australia, and even domestic, which is the US, PBC, everything. Yeah,
Okay, so now are you still down in Atlanta?
I am still in Atlanta, Georgia. Yes.
Well, I got to say that I love the fact that you're a retired fighter and you became a matchmaker because we need more of that. Because
Yes.
you know what a fighter is looking for. A lot of matchmakers have never been fighters, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, most definitely. I'm pretty much, some of my closest friends, in the business now, like Whit Hayden. He works for PBC, but a long time friend, 20 years. He's a matchmaker for PBC. Started this company, Toro Boxing Promotions, recently, but his background was insurance. I mean, where he just had a passion for boxing, after selling insurance for so many years, that he just pretty much, kind of got in it, started promoting fighters and managing fighters, and here he is. I mean, this is his life now.
Okay, well, that's good to hear, man. I appreciate the fact that you're still involved in the sport and you're looking out for fighters and you're matching them up. That's good because we definitely need more ex-fighters, I think, doing that, honestly.
Yeah, right.
So I want to bring up something just to confirm this. I don't know. A lot of the casual fans might not know this. The local fans might be aware of this. But I just learned something recently, and I want you to confirm it and talk about it. You actually, coming up in the gym, you were in the same gym with world champion Homer Lee Gibbons and four-time heavyweight world champion Evander Holyfield and some other guys that were in the Olympics and world champions and things like that, right?
Yes, I was. When I started boxing at the age of 8 years old, my older brother, who started me, pretty much, when I started with him, he was boxing at the time, and so we trained at the Atlanta PAL, which is a police athletic league, at the time. Um, but once I really got into it myself, I mean, and like really started competing and everything, he took me over to the Boys Club, which is the Warren Memorial Boys Club, in Atlanta, uh, and that's where I actually met Homer. Well, I met my coach. My coach was Ted Morgan, which was, it was the Carter Morgan Boxing Club, and Carter Morgan was the guy that started Evander career. I mean, from the age of, 11 on until the up until the '84 Olympics. But unfortunately, Coach Carter Morgan passed away. So my coach Ted Morgan, the son of Carter, took over and trained the rest of the way. To get him to the '84 Olympics, and of course, then we all know what took place afterwards. But in that gym, Coach Ted Morgan was my coach, Ebo Elder's coach, Homer Gibbons' coach, Rochelle Wales' coach. Romalis Ellis, was a sparring mate, so he came over and trained with Homer Gibbons a lot. But so I had all these guys, that was all this wealth of experience over there. Evander at the time was pretty much, probably became a heavyweight champion of the world, but he was, still around, and he would come to the gym, support this club, support the fighters, everything.
I don't even know how you could focus in a gym with those guys in it. I mean, I would be in awe every day of just getting there and being just surrounded by so much talent.
Yeah, and Homer again was a seasoned professional fighter at that time. You know what I mean? So I was a little kid. You know, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 years old, spending time with him and his dad, Mr. Homer Senior. And going to their house, and I spend the night and go to the gym. We back and forth to the gym and just sparring with them. And he's showing me things, and I mean, and so I kind of grew up around those guys. I mean, we have a personal relationship. We're brothers. You know what I mean? We're brothers.
Okay. All right. Well, let's get to these random 20 questions. You ready for them?
Sure.
Okay. So, question one. So, I don't want to talk about the boxing. Tell me about your background and your upbringing a little bit, like where you were brought up, siblings, parents, things like that, just how you were brought up so the fans kind of get an idea of before boxing.
Oh well, I mean, yeah, I'm from a pretty humble beginning. I grew up in College Park, Georgia, which is outside of Atlanta, closer to the Atlanta airport, which is one of the biggest airports in the world, Hartsfield International Airport. But that's College Park. So if you think of Hartsfield, Atlanta, then you think of College Park, which is where I grew up at. Just pretty much was a young man that just grew up, with my brothers, my two brothers, my sister, my mother, my grandmother, who was, pretty much like a mother figure to all of us. And, pretty much, I started boxing from like I said, from my older brother, because he was boxing all those years. He was, a young kid around his 14, 15 at the time. So he was the boxer of the family, but I just followed him, and and I wanted to do the sport.
Now, did your brother end up becoming a pro?
Yes, his name is Fred Tukes. Fred Tukes. He did become a pro. He became the Australian welterweight champion. So yeah, he did become. He was a professional fighter. Yes.
Nice. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Well, my next question was, how did you get involved in the sport of boxing? But you pretty much already covered that, so I'm going to change the question now. So, question two: tell me a story about you and Evander Holyfield in the gym, if you can come up with anything out of the gym.
Well, the story of Evander and me and myself in the gym around all the guys. It was Evander. I mean, me watching Evander in the gym training, because a lot of times he would come here and have open workouts, and just me growing up around the gym and watching him. I mean, I took on a lot of his mannerisms and his style. So, I mean, like when he had a chance to see me fight as a youngster and in the gym, he would always come up to me, give me pointers and show me different moves, and just just give me motivation to keep going, keep going, keep going. And I mean, that's how we became and grew close, just throughout the years of my younger years, all the way up until me becoming a grown man or what have you. But mainly, he just saw something in me as a kid, and just because we had the kind of the same style, the same sequence boxing, great jab combinations, bouncing, and I said I learned a lot from him. So I mean, he would always give me pointers and just tell me what to do and what to expect and things of that nature. So he's a very big part of my career.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Question three. So obviously he's inspired you, but what boxers have inspired you throughout your career?
Well, I mean, Homer Gibbons, he inspired me. I mean, just like I said, I was a young guy, coming up in the gym, so he inspired me because again, I was go to the International Ballroom and these club shows when these guys were on the come up. coming up in their pro career, watching those guys. So the Flash, but Homer was really flashy. He was a guy that's really flamboyant, and he had a smooth style. So I mean, I I looked up to him, Evander Roshai Wells, who moved from Austin, Texas, and became a member of our club. And his only goal when he moved to Atlanta at the age of 14 was to make the Olympic team. And he trained around the whole crew with my coach, and everything he sucked out, it happened. So I mean, I had so many. Vernon Forrest, a great friend of mine, who's long gone. I mean, so I had so much wealth of experience around, man. I had so many guys around. I mean, Robert Allen. I can go on Robert Allen, Cedric Boswell, Vernon Forrest, Roshai Wells, Ramalis Ellis. I had the guys around, man. I had some real fighters around.
Sure. Wow, you sound like you were pretty blessed, man, to have all that talent around you and just soak up all that knowledge like a sponge.
Yes, I did, man, and I know what becoming a real pro is like. Whatever, because I know the club scene, like, and how it took guys so much hard work to get to the level, whether they actually cross that road to become a world champion, but just the smaller level. I mean, I watched all those guys come up, like, and work their way up the ranks or whatever. Some crossed it and made it, some didn't, but I respect all of the guys because I know what type of work they put in the gym.
Okay.
And I was a gym rat myself. Yeah.
All right, question 4. What was your lowest point in your boxing career, and what was your highest point in your boxing career?
I would say my lowest point in my career was pretty much just, I probably didn't have a manager. I didn't have, a sense of direction, coming off a loss, maybe had a setback, and pretty much just trying to figure out which way I wanted to go and what I wanted to do. Because I mean, one thing about being a pro and being a professional fighter is, like, I mean, everything is fine when you're winning, but when you lose, mentally, okay, it's gonna, you're gonna. I'm always talk to myself like, hey, man, I mean, is this what I really want to do? And I think basically being able to work myself out of that big mental block to actually, turn my career around and really, make a name for myself in my professional career. That was my lowest point, but my highest point was, I mean, again, coming back, winning 7, 8 fights in a row, getting called for opportunity to fight on the undercard here in Atlanta, on Ebo Elder's undercard, where he was fighting for the IBF elimination fight versus a Cambodian guy. The guy's name was Lak Vasim at the time, and it was for the number 1 IBF ranking. Samson Lukovic was Ebo's promoter, so he promoted the show solely based around and built around Ebo here in Atlanta. And on the undercard, they had to build an undercard. So I was reached out to by Samson and their crew, and they asked me if I would be interested in fighting for a title, WBC Fecker box title at welterweight 147. Again, I was riding high. I was on a serious win streak. I had a record of, I think, 17 at the time, 17 and in 3 or something like that, and I was moving, so I got a call from Samson, and he asked me if I'd be interested in fighting for the title. So of course we talked about the money, which the money was, I mean, decent. What, $3,200, 3,500, something like that. But it was more about the opportunity, because I mean, I was not only a fighter, I was a husband, father. I had a job, day job, you know what I mean, or a night job at the time, because I was the railroad. I was working at the railroad in 2004. I worked at the railroad, so I worked overnight. So my schedule was working overnight, and then I get off in the morning, come home, rest for a couple hours, go to the gym, train, and do the same thing all over again. So that was my routine every day. So when I signed for this fight, I mean, this was still my routine, and I just from my I think what helped me in that situation was just my amateur career, sparring and being around all these guys I named, getting all that wealth of experience. So I was built for that moment, and there was an opportunity of a lifetime. I accepted the fight, and I trained my ass off. I mean, day in, day out, um, and my whole life kept going the same: work, train, family. Night came. I won the title. I knocked the guy out, and I became a rated WBC fighter. I think I was in the top 30 at the time, because and that was only solely because if I had a manager and the backing at the time, then I probably would have been like farther along the rankings. But just based off me winning the belt, it put me in the top 30 WBC, and I think that's one of the proudest moments of my career. That I mean, I was able to do that. And then Samson, I remember Samson. Came up to me. He was like, "Nobody knew you. Nobody knew you before this, but now the world knows you." And I mean, and that's true, and that happened. I mean, I started getting the opportunity calls for bigger paydays, and I mean, the sky's the limit. I had a name. I was a real professional fighter. I became a real professional then,
Okay.
or whatever. I mean, because that's kind of the thing with boxing. It's like, okay, you're gonna win these fights. You're gonna win. You're gonna fight hometown fights. You're gonna win. You're gonna do what you do. But when it's time to step up, and when you get an opportunity to step up and step out, I mean, what are you made of then? And and for me, I was built for that. I mean, I was determined, and it happened. It
Okay.
happened. Yep.
All right. Question 5. Did you have any boxing superstitions when you fought?
Boxing superstitions. No, I mean, no, I never had any boxing superstitions. I mean, because I was just, I mean, listen, I lived it, ate it, eat, sleep, drink boxing. So nope, I didn't have any superstitions. I mean, I knew if it was time to run, I ran. What to eat right, making weight. I mean, so no, I didn't have any superstitions at all about the lamps green, or what I mean, like too many towels in the dressing room. No, I mean, I know
Well, you know though, from being around fighters your whole life, a lot of fighters do have them.
I mean, as a matchmaker, I mean, I mean, hey, I deal with all that all the time. Yes.
Okay, question 6. What's the craziest or the funniest story that ever happened between you and a boxing fan?
Oh man. Uh I would say, man, like, just pretty much me winning the fight, getting out the ring, and I'm pretty much like totally getting bum rushed by like fans, like just like this. I had one guy that, like, he didn't speak in English one time, and he was he ran over, grabbed me, like pulled me. I was walking to the dressing room. I didn't see who was I didn't see who was calling me because I didn't understand. And the guy, he was speaking out loud, and I'm walking, and I'm like just walking towards the dressing room, just not knowing, and I get somebody to pull me from the behind, and I turn around and look, and the guy was speaking like Spanish, and I'm like, and then he was, and somebody told me, hey, he just want your, he just want an autograph or whatever, and I started laughing. I said, I started laughing because I'm like, what's going on, whatever, and the person told me, sir, he wants your autograph, whatever. I said, oh, okay, and I started laughing, whatever. But I was serious at first, but I started laughing because I didn't understand the language or whatever, and but once the person said they intervened and said, no, he wants your autograph, whatever, and you had a great fight, so I signed autograph, whatever, and I was laughing, walking back, like, man, like this guy really was. I mean, because he, fans drinking and doing what they do, it was like whatever, and I'm after a fight, I'm trying to get back to the dressing room, change clothes or whatever, and I get pulled by the neck, like, and the guy speaking Spanish or whatever, and I didn't know what it was about. So that was probably one of the funniest stories.
He almost got more than an autograph.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, that was crazy, man.
You would have been able to tell that story forever if you would have got knocked out.
Right, exactly, man. So again, I'm just glad somebody that was close there could understand the language and told me what it was about. So I said, okay, no problem.
All right. So you're an old school fighter, so I wanted to ask you this question and get your opinion on it. Question 7. What is your opinion of the YouTubers and the internet influencers getting themselves involved in the sport of boxing?
Man, I mean, this is a new game, and I'm in the business of boxing. So it's like, I mean, I'm a real boxing guy, so for a long time, and I guess when this pandemic happened, is when everything, this whole little era of this stuff started to take place, and I really was not really getting it at the time. Like, and I think it started with Tyson and Roy when but of course we know those guys because they got big names. Roy Jones, and he's been one of my he's been a fan of mine. And, come to my fights. I've actually made I actually was a matchmaker of one of Roy Jones's fights here in Atlanta for a local promoter at the time, Adrian Patrick, who brought Roy Jones here in 2010 and whatever. So I matched Roy against Max Alexander and the whole undercard at the Atlanta Civic Center. So I had a relationship with Roy. So Roy, he knows me, and he's been in my fights or whatever. But anyway, around that whole time when the pandemic happened, Roy and Tyson fought. So okay, we all know that. Okay, we know that's a two big names fighting whatever. But then, like, slowly after that, you started to hear Triller. Triller came, and then you have MMA guys signing with these companies, and then this company signing box. So it became then you got the Jake Pauls of the world trying to box. So I'm like what's really going on here? We got all these YouTube guys fighting all these. So I guess so what I started to learn is social media. Social media with the internet has pretty much, I mean, transformed and translated so much into like popularity where, I mean, okay, they got a following, they got a name, people follow them. The TV networks are pretty much sign these guys to TV deals because like they're only worried about like who can sell pay-per-views. And I kind of saw how it just all came together at the end. I mean, while the real fighters that fought and were professional fighters, and I mean, fought the amateurs and won the Golden Gloves and became something, and try to work their way up to really become something in boxing. But then you got on the other side the YouTube guy who has a following, who can't fight a lick, but he's getting training from a former fighter, and he's handpicking his opponents. He's looking good on TV, but the TV networks are buying into that more so than a guy that's a real fighter. Whatever. Like, so it's like, okay, the fighter that's done this all his life can't, really get a break because it's like if he can't sell tickets, he's kind of like, left out. But then you got the YouTubers, and all these internet creators, social media influencers, just creating a name, and and getting all the following and getting all the, so it's like it just became like Wild Wild West, man. So when Showtime, started buying into it, I was like, this is a new era of boxing now. It's like totally different. And then not only that, now you have you have all these trillers, you have small combat league, you have the TFL combat league with now like now we got a whole nother lead of combat league that's where they create 1 round fights. So you got teams in Georgia and all these different states where guys are fighting, and so it's like now you got social media influencers fighting in Europe and other leagues. So it's so many different there's so many different type of entities in boxing now, where it's like you got the real fighters, but you got so many other leagues and other things going on with boxing now, where the real fighter, again, if you're not really kind of like get a following or building a following or have a manager or have some backing or have somebody that can sign you, you're left out. It's like it's a totally different ball game now, and that's what boxing has become.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Question 8. Can you tell me an interesting story out of your boxing career?
Interesting story. Yeah, just the interesting story for me. Just pretty much has. Meeting. I've had a chance to meet in some very high profile people. Being around, Evander. Like just like celebrities and just people like that knew about me just based off his him building me up and talking about me, whatever, and just like LL Cool J. I remember one time, me and Vander, we were in Vegas, and I was supposed to fight on a fight card in the Mandalay Bay. When he fought, who did he fight? He fought John Reeves. I was trained in Houston, Texas, where his training camp was at the time. I trained and did everything, but I didn't get the chance to fight. But at that fight, I still went out to Vegas and trained in the gym, Las Vegas Golden Gloves gym. Ended up meeting Mike Tyson because I was sparring Shannon Taylor, who's an Australian contender. Shannon Taylor was over here training in Vegas around that time for Sugar Shane Mosley the following week. That was going to be on HBO. So I walked into the gym, and they asked me if I wanted to do some sparring. So like I said, he was the WBC #1 contender at the time. So I sparred him, and one of the interesting things, like I said, just when I put such a good performance on, Mike Tyson, he came over to me and he was talking to me and asking me questions, and he was like, one of the questions he asked me after I told him I was managed by Evander, and and he's like, yeah, Holyfield's my guy. I love Holyfield, and he was like, I know Holyfield breaking you off. Like, asked me like, I know he's breaking you off. whatever. Like, yeah, he take care of he takes very good care of me, whatever. And then turn around, the night of the fight, had a chance to be around, like I said, LL Cool J. And he's like, "Hey, you Xavier?" Like, yeah, and like, yeah, Evander. He tells me a lot about you, man. And, I'm like, wow, and so I thought that was pretty cool. Just kind of, to have respect of the guys, like, and Evander would talk about me. And just,
Okay, so I didn't know. So Evander Holyfield managed you for a while too, while he was managing Homer Lee Gibbons.
well, Homer Lee Gibbons is older than me, so he managed Homer Lee Gibbons. I mean, I was an amateur at that time,
Okay,
whatever.
okay,
But when I turned professional, Evander started managing me when I first turned pro. Yes,
okay.
I was training at Don Turner's training camp in New Bern, North Carolina, was where I trained. Evander was giving me a monthly stipend to just train in box. So, being around, him. I mean, all those years, yes, he was my manager at the time. Yes,
No,
so
I see. I just find that an interesting fact because I don't know that a lot of fans knew that Evander Holyfield ever even managed any boxers. So,
yeah,
I mean, because it never really was out there in the news because they're always talking about his title fights and his
yes,
career, but nobody ever said that he was managing fighters.
yes. Listen, he supported all the Georgia fighters that were Malice, Ellis, Vernon Forrest. He was managing Vernon Forrest at the time. When Vernon was in his career and kind of having problems with promoters and in and out of his career, Vander was looking out for Vernon Forrest. Again, like he managed me. He managed Homer Lee Gibbons. Uh, he managed Gary Bell, which is a former sparring partner of his for Tyson. So and Michael Grant. I mean, like he pretty much was a big supporter of all of us. At some
Nice.
time in our career. Yes, yes,
Okay. All
yes.
right. Question 9. Who was your favorite opponent that you fought in your career?
My favorite opponent. My favorite opponent. I would have to say Richard Lee Hall. Because I mean, I lost to him twice, but I mean, we put on some very exciting, fights. I mean, like we talking about like fan friendly, tour guide, Mickey Ward type fights. And so, I mean, when me and him locked horns, I mean, we fought, and it was like, listen, I mean, you know, whoever wins or whatever. I mean, like I was willing to die. So like, it was that type of fight. And so like now looking back, I really appreciate, you know, um, sharing the ring with him because I mean, again, he didn't go as far as I did, and the thing is, I lost to him in my career, but I was able to get bigger opportunities and of course kind of win a title and do other bigger things. So again, that's why I'm saying I appreciate him because again he brought the best out of me and he beat me twice. Again, that's so I would really I liked him. I respect him. Yes.
Okay. Question 10. Did you suffer any injuries due to the sport of boxing?
No, I didn't. I was lucky enough not to suffer any injuries. I mean, I never even had a pinky broke.
Okay.
Uh, no,
All
I
right.
never suffered injuries. Nope.
All right. Question 11. If the mayor of your city was willing to name something after you, what would you want named in your city after you?
Oh man, if the mayor would name something after me, I would want him to name a youth center after me, like something that like something like X-Men community youth center, or like in my local county where I grew up in College Park, X-Men Youth, boxing academy, something like that.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Question 12. Do you have a favorite snack food?
Favorite snack food, man. I love to eat, man. So I think the snacks that snacks. Uh, Shoot, man. I can eat it. I eat so much, man. But I think snack food. I'll probably like pizza. Pizza, you know.
Okay. All right. Question 13. Who is the hardest puncher you've ever faced in the ring in a fight or sparring?
Sparring. Oh man, the hardest puncher that I faced. Mm, I sparred a heavyweight at the time, uh, named Terry Owens, and who could have become something great, but just other outside activity, pretty much he didn't get there. But I sparred him, and he was probably like the hardest. I mean, like the hardest puncher. I mean, that I encountered. Whatever, because he was a big guy, but again, if it felt like the jab, even him not trying to hurt me, it just hurt. You know what I mean, or whatever. Like just flicking the punch, it hurt. Or whatever. Just it was like a guy trying to hold back, but it still hurt. That's how I'm saying I knew he was the hardest puncher I ever fought.
Okay. All right. Question 14. Who are some of the bigger name boxers that you've sparred throughout your career?
Okay, Shannon Taylor, Robert Allen, Vernon Forrest, Rochelle Wells, Evo Elder, Camacho Jr., shoot. So yeah, those guys.
Okay. All right. Question 15. Have you ever had to save someone's life?
I have. I had a friend that I'm still close to this day. And I actually met him in the gym. But he just was a guy that just loves to train with me and my coach. And he never did become a fighter, but he loved MMA. But he would box with us, me and my coach, and spar. His name is Bo. And Bo, I got a call like last year before last from Bo. He texted me. He sent me a text message, and it was like I think I was going to the airport to do my background for my airport badge because I work at the airport, Delta Airlines, so I had to do my 2 year every 2 years you have to do a badge renewal for security and everything. So I had to get up early that morning to go to the airport. And it's like 5 a.m. I had an appointment, so I got up real early. I went to the airport, parked just to be there. So when they open, I'll be ready. And it's around 5 o'clock in the morning. So I got a text message, "Hey, how you doing?" Stuff like that. So I'm like, "How you doing, buddy?" Like, and I was like, "Everything okay?" Like, yeah. And then he was like, "You think about taking his life?" And so I was like, "Hey, man, no." I said, "Bo," I said, "No, man." I said, you have beautiful kids. I said, "You have a beautiful family." I said, "You got a beautiful wife." I said, "Don't do that, man. Don't do that." So, for me, what I did was I went to action and I called the hotline, right? The crisis hotline, and they called them, and and they were able to, kind of save them or whatever. So, I think at that time, I would say that was a bit a big moment because it was kind of shocking. And the thing about it was like I called my coach and I said, Coach, I said, man, Bo, he called me, he texted me at 5 a.m. and he was having a conversation with me and he told me he was telling me that he won't take his life and stuff like that, man. So he kind of opened up and said, that Bo had been having some issues for a while. I didn't know about it, but because he had never addressed that with me or talked to me like in that kind of manner, so I didn't know. So I was like, wow. So I told coaches, I called the hotline, and then of course I followed up, and he's okay. He's well, he's well. He just was going through some things. So
That's good to hear.
yes.
All right, question 16. What's the best dish you can cook?
The best dish I can cook. So me, I can cook eggs. I mean, you know what I mean? Like I can. Hey, listen, and I'm saying because I mean I'm not a cook, but I have the best eggs in the world. My daughter, who's in college now at the University of Rhode Island in Providence, when she comes home, or even when she was here before she went off to school, she would always smell me cooking some eggs or whatever. And the way I cook my eggs, I mean, like where I just I dress it with peppers and cheese and onions and scramble them really, really good. And she really loved the eggs. So she's like, Daddy, can you make me some eggs? And I would hook it up. So I say that's my best dish.
Okay. All right, question 17. Do you have any phobias?
Any what?
Any phobias? Are you scared of anything?
No, I'm not scared of anything, man. I mean,
But so you're not afraid of heights? You're not afraid of small places? You don't have any type of phobias?
if I would have to say I would be afraid of heights. If anything,
Okay.
flying a parachute or something like that. No, I'm not gonna do that. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna fly a parachute. I'm not going to go out and swim in the middle of the ocean with a whole lot of sharks and people. I'm not gonna do that. So yes, I am. Yes, no.
Okay.
Right.
All right, question 18. So if you had a chance to train somebody yourself, a current boxer right now, what professional boxer would you want to train?
If I had a chance to train a professional boxer right now, at this point, man, there's some pretty good fighters out there. I would have to say somebody. I would. That's a good one. That's a good one. Let me think about that, man. Because there's some pretty hot prospects out there. So if I had a chance to train someone right now, I would probably say a guy that's not established yet, but is on his way up. Is the heavyweight Jerry Anderson? Yeah,
Oh,
I would want to you know train him. I mean, whether he's a pretty guy, he's an up and coming prospect right now. And so I would definitely want to work with him. Yes.
okay. All right, question 19. What's the best place you've ever traveled to?
New Zealand. I fought Anthony Mundine in New Zealand in 2000, I think 10. I fought Anthony Mundine over there. I had a chance, so I went. I got an opportunity to make a great payday and travel to New Zealand, which is a 28-hour flight, and so that was a amazing place, a beautiful country across the globe, and I would have to say Moscow, Russia. Uh, I took Owen Beck, former heavyweight contender, over to Moscow to fight Oleg Moscow. In I think around 2000, 9, 10. I took him over there. Germany. Berlin, Germany, another country I went to that I pretty much I took Jeremy the Beast Bates over there to fight Orlando Solis, who was a Cuban. So he's one of the three Cubans at the time that defected after the Olympics, and he was ended up in Germany. Him, Gamboa, and Rancis Barthélemy. They ended up over in Germany and signed with a promoter over there by the name of Ahmed Honor, which is a company called Arena Box Promotions at the time. So they did a show in Germany. Orlando Solis, Cuban gold medalist heavyweight. I matched the fight with Jeremy Beast Bates, who fought Holyfield in one of his combat fights on Fox years ago. If you can go look it up. So yeah, so had a chance to travel to Berlin, Germany. So that was a really nice place also. But Australia was, I think, New Zealand was a beautiful place to, man.
Okay. All right. Last question. Question 20. If you could have a conversation with any animal and it could talk back, what animal would you want to have a conversation with?
Oh man, a lion. Because I would like to just want to know like what's in his mind, and like how do they view people, and why is it, and how is can they smell, just smell fear, or just because I've heard that with lions, like if they're around, you don't want to make any noise. You want to just. I heard people have stories where if they saw a lion, they kind of like played sleep and played this and play that. But I mean, like, how could you do that around a lion when they just like so aggressive and whatever? So I just want to know, like, kind of like what's in their mind and how do they view people, and it's just questions I always want to know. Yes.
Okay. Well, listen, I appreciate you taking time to come on and do the 20 random questions. I loved a lot of your answers, man, and your stories. I got way more out of you tonight than I expected, and I learned so much about you, and I'm sure the fans appreciate it as well, all the stories you told and your great answers. So I really appreciate you taking time to come on, man, and I really had the pleasure. It was just a pleasure, and I enjoyed having you come on and talk. So if you want to say anything to your fans or anything, go ahead.
Well, I just want to say thank you to all the fans out there that supported me over the years in my career. And yes, I'm still in boxing. I'm like I said, I'm a matchmaker, so I'm making fights and giving guys opportunities to be able to travel and still and live their dreams out now, because like now it's about giving back. So that's what I'm involved in now in my career. And so I'm around, and of course, I'm here to stay.
Okay, hold on. And with that, the truth has spoken.